Hey guys, Nick here, and today we are on to part 14 of What If Madison's Family Joined Rick, and we are getting on to Abraham, Rosita, and Eugene talking to the group and seeing what their resolve is in coming with them to find the supposed cure for the zombie virus and how Rick and them will react once they return to Woodbury. Now let's get into it. Once the three arrive and greet themselves and tell everybody who they are and what they're doing, why they want them to come with them, Daryl says that it's truly not up to him, nor anybody else here. The leaders of this town, or the now leaders of this town, more or less, are away and should be back soon, and they'll all talk it over. Soon enough, after not that much time, ironically, Lori, Carol, Carl, Daniel, Madison, Sophia, Shane, and Rick all come back to Woodbury, but the mood from them is very confusing because every one of them seems sad or down, and everybody questions this, well, mainly everybody, and Madison unfortunately has to break the news to people like Nick and Alicia, and mainly just those two, honestly, and maybe Ophelia, but I don't really know what. You know what? Never mind. It really doesn't matter. It's mainly Nick and Alicia. The news that Travis is dead, what happened, Morgan, and all that other stuff. But after all that is said and done, Daryl says that 3 people appeared here not too long ago, ironically, and they want to see if they want to go with them, and they should probably talk to them. So Rick and Madison both agree, obviously just the 2 of them mainly, to talk to the 3 of them and see what's going on. So Abraham pulls Rick and Madison aside, or rather they pull him aside, or whatever, and say that they came to Woodbury and are looking for help because Eugene knows the cure to save the world and fix everything that happened. After some time to think about this and hear what Abraham has to say, Rick and Madison agree that really they have this place, but really they don't have anything else to do. They just have the town. That's it. So they ultimately agree. And we have a huge group right now, which I've touched upon in earlier stories, but this one in particular, with Madison's family, it is humongous. We have the backpack dude, Beth, Jimmy, Maggie, Alicia, Sasha, Bob, Abraham, Oscar, Milton, Lizzie, Lori, David, Carol, Karen, Glenn, Gargiulio, Rick, Alan, Strand, T-Dog, Tyrese, Ben, Madison, Rosita, Daryl, Michonne, Sophia, Mika, Ophelia, Shane, Axel, Merle, Herschel, Big Tiny, Daniel, Dale, Nick, Tim, Crowley, Martinez, Eugene, and Carl. Kind of messed up there at the end, but we have a lot of people. So that is our group for this point in the story. Now, I bet you guys are wondering, what about the claimers? Well, I want to ask you guys a little question. You guys know how about in many other stories that I focused on them just ambushing the group out of the ordinary. I've done it with What If Amy Survived, What If, like, other what ifs in general. I've had them ambush the group and then end up killing, like, a few people and then dying right away. Right? Boring! Using some of the same methods is good and all, but for this particular story, I feel that taking a different approach with them would be a really good plot twist. Sort of like what I did with What If Sophia Joined Negan, where I had him join the governor and then, do that. I want to really bring something else to the table rather than using some of the other things that I do, which is why I end up changing it up in some videos. kinda what I need to do sometimes. But the plot twist for how the claimers will be introduced will be in another part, which will be like next part or something. Now, for the Chandler family, honestly, I usually go with the fact that Tara ends up being the only one that survives and joins the Saviors. Changing that up too. Not too much, but you'll see. At the Chandler residence, David still ends up turning, and Lily ends up getting herself bit. So Tara is left to take care of Megan alone. And it's not just Tara that lives this time, but Megan too. And you might think that I'm just going to have her and Megan join the Saviors and that's that. Well, no. I'm actually going to bring a little bit more to the table, not just for Tara and for Megan, but for a lot more people. Because eventually they find the little refuge camp with all the people and Pete and everything, and Mitch and everything like that, except no Governor, no Lily, and no Martinez. And Pete is still alive because the Governor wouldn't be there to kill him. Eventually, yes, they do come across Negan, but this time it's not just Tara. They actually have Pete and Tara and Megan and a lot more people than just one. And Pete, seeing as his group and them have been around and on the road for quite a decent amount of time at this point, sees that there's really no choice and agrees to work alongside Negan. So, Pete and his whole group there, including Tara and Megan, join Negan and the Saviors. And this also means that Negan will have a tank now. And if you thought the Governor was something with a tank, we have the Saviors with a tank, which will play into major regards in the future parts of the story. Now, eventually, going back to Rick and Madison's group, we come across the Terminus signs, and yeah. Rick and Madison, on one hand, they have two sides to this. On one hand, this could be a good opportunity on their way to Washington and maybe see if this place is for real. Because Rick still did believe that, and with a lighter personnel on his part, besides Morgan and the Dwayne thing, he would agree that this might be a good idea. Madison's iffy. But the main three, surprise, surprise, who think that this is bullcrap, are Daniel, Strand, and Shane. No surprise there at all, if you guys have been paying attention to how they have operated these past, throughout the story. And they agree that, while this might be a sort of good idea, it just seems too good to be true, especially with how the Governor was when they came to Woodbury. So, ultimately, they make a plan to see if this place is for real, and they split the group into two halves. Rick takes one group, with Carol, T-Dog, Gargiulio, Bob, Maggie, Nick, Big Tiny, Tyrese, Daniel, Abraham, Michonne, Alicia, Strand, Martinez, Axel, Glenn, Shane, Sasha, Oscar, Rosita, and Alan. Man, this is so hard to say all that in one take. But, yeah, Rick takes that part of the group, and they're going to go to Terminus and check it out, while the other part stays behind and scopes things out to see if they need help. Madison leads the other group in that regard. Herself, Dale, Merle, Daryl, Carl, Eugene, Tim, Crowley, Herschel, Ophelia, Mika, Sophia, Ben, Beth, David, Lori, Milton, Jimmy, Karen, and the backpack dude. I realized that in that huge list I might have missed Ophelia at least, maybe took her for another character, but to be fair, we have a huge group in this story, so little mistake. But anyways, side note, we actually get a pretty cool dynamic with Carol's perspective of character, with Sophia, Mika, and Lizzie, pretty much all, besides Sophia, daughter figures, which Sophia's already her daughter, so not too much to go off of there. But, like my What If Sophia Joined Negan story, really not being the center of attention and feeling like she's just almost put to the side more than, like... Because it's not just Mika around now that Carol looks at, besides Lizzie. Sophia's there too. And because of Sophia's influence, Lizzie gets a little bit jelly. And in turn, this causes her to be violent and almost attack Carol, in which case Carol realizes that Lizzie is just a threat to the group and herself and her daughter and Mika, and has to put her down. And it's a much different way. Lizzie has been put out in much different ways in all my stories, because really, it's just how it would go. Either because of her being crazy for walkers, or jealousy. Now, how will the whole Terminus thing go, with the group being split into two big halves? Do you think that there is some kind of twist at Terminus that we aren't expecting that will somehow make these two halves lose a bunch of people? Or do you think that this is going to be a washout for the cannibals? And that's where we're going to be leaving things for the moment. Hope you guys enjoyed this part and are enjoying the series so far. Definitely a few twists and turns here and there, with the Saviors for one getting a tank and a bunch more people than just Tara, a much bigger group in the regards of Rick and Madison, and the Claimers being put off to the side, possibly for a Terminus alliance. But I'm not going to spoil anything truly major, as I want to save that. But anyways, leave a comment if you enjoyed, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.